Dear students, this is lecture 34 in supply chain management. First, let us find the answer for the questions discussed in the last lecture. The first question is define CRM. As you know that CRM is a macro process, consists of processes take place between an enterprise or company or firm and its customers downstream in the supply chain management. The second question is Dash is a CRM software from Microsoft. Yes, what is the answer? The name of the software is Microsoft Dynamics. Third question, what is the difference between on-premise CRM and a cloud-based CRM? Basically, CRM is a software and it records the transactions takes place in an enterprise and its customers downstream in the supply chain management. If the software and data is accessible only within the campus or premises of the company, then it's called on-premise CRM. If the data and software is moved to internet in a cloud system so that it is available anywhere in this world, so it is accessible in any corner of this world, then it is called as cloud based CRM. The company may choose on premise CRM or cloud based CRM based on the nature of product or business, locations of the business and size of the business and demand size, and considering various factors, the company may go for any one of these CRM software. Let us discuss the next macro process in IT framework of supply chain management, that is ISCM, internal supply chain management. ISCM is focused on operations internal to the enterprise. ISCM includes all processes involved in planning for and fulfilling a customer order. So the various processes included in ISCM are as follows. So the ISCM focus on the internal operations of a supply chain management firm. So particularly it deals with the activities to plan and fulfill the customer orders. The first sub process in ISCM is strategic planning. So this process focuses on the network design of the supply chain. The key decisions include location and capacity planning of facilities. So in planning and fulfilling the customer order, so the key decision is to be taken about the location and the capacity in the particular location. All these things have to be planned. The next process in ISCM is demand planning. The first process, strategic planning, deals with identifying the location and the capacity of facilities. The second process deals with the demand planning. So demand planning consists of forecasting demand. That is, we speculate what will be the demand for the products in future, maybe after a year or 2 years or 3 years or 5 years, like that, and analyze the impact on demand of demand management tools such as pricing and promotions. So what is a pricing strategy we have to follow so that we can increase the demand, and what is the promotions to be uh, taken in case of different kinds of products. The ultimate aim is to increase the demand for the products. The company should be able to visualize the future demand of the products so that it can plan for the future demand, and accordingly other facilities have to be created to satisfy the demand in future. The next process in ISCM is supply planning. The supply planning process takes as input the demand forecast produced by demand planning and the resources made available by strategic planning. So this process uses the output of the demand planning, that is what is going to be the demand for the products in future. So based on the output what we got from demand planning, then accordingly we should plan for the supply from the various suppliers. And also if you want to create more and more locations and facilities, all this planning should be done in this stage. So based on all these factors, the supply planning will produce an optimal plan to meet the demand. So factory planning and inventory planning capabilities are typically provided by supply planning software. So what is the level of manufacturing to be done in factory, or what is the level of inventory should be kept in each location. So all these things are to be decided by using the software in supply planning. In supply chain management, matching supply with the current demand is a very important and crucial task. So if the company plans for future demand, then only it can perfectly match the supply with the demand, because there are some facilities which needs time to create it. For example, it may be a new manufacturing facility or inventory facilities, warehouses, like that. So there are some activities which needs time to create it. So these two steps, demand planning and supply planning, are the important task as part of ISCM, so that we can plan for future in terms of matching the supply with the demand. The software for ISCM provides various kinds of software tools for both demand and supply planning. The next process in ISCM is fulfillment. Once a plan is in place to supply the demand, it must be executed. So we have already discussed demand planning, and based on the demand expected and forecasted, the supply has to be planned. So when both are in place, then the next step is execution of the orders, that is fulfillment. The fulfillment process links each order to a specific supply source and means of transportation. So for each order, we should identify what is the source to satisfy the demand, and what is the means of transporting the products to the actual place where it is needed. The software application that typically fall into the fulfillment segment are transportation and warehousing management applications. So the software for fulfillment mainly focus on the various activities in transportation and warehousing. The software provide information on product availability. If required quantity of product is not available in single place, then the places where we can collect the products and nearest locations, and route management and warehousing management. So all these things are provided by the software in ISCM. The next process in ISCM is field service. Finally, after the product has been delivered to the customer, it eventually must be serviced. Service processes focus on setting inventory levels for spare parts as well as scheduling service calls. Field service is a very important process in supply chain management because this is the process which provides customer satisfaction, and also it provides a way to improve the goodwill of the company or firm. So the software should provide various tools so that it can manage the availability of spare parts and also scheduling the service calls in order to satisfy the customers. Some of the scheduling issues here are handled in a similar manner to aggregate planning, and the inventory issues are the typical inventory management problems because the servicing is purely based on the availability of spare parts. The software should help the firm to manage the inventory of spare parts in various locations so that scheduling of service calls can also be done in time. ISCM macro process aims to fulfill demand that is generated by CRM processes. So, strong integration is needed between the ISCM and the CRM macro process. The purpose of ISCM is to execute the orders, that is fulfill the demand which is generated by CRM process. So there must be a synchronization or coordination between ISCM and CRM. When forecasting demand, interaction with the CRM is essential as the CRM applications are touching the customer and have the most data and insight on customer behavior. The ISCM mainly focus on planning the facilities based on forecasting the demand in future. When forecasting demand for the product, if you want the forecasting is to be with the greater accuracy, then the ISCM software should interact with the CRM and use the data available with the CRM because CRM applications are directly interaction or interacting with the customers. So ISCM should interact with the CRM and use the data provided by CRM to do forecasting effectively. Similarly, the ISCM processes should have strong integration with the SRM macro process also. The top 5 ISCM vendors in 2007, as reported by Gartner, were SAP, Oracle, JDA, Ariba, and Manhattan Associates. SAP with 22.4% and Oracle with 16%, and other companies share the market share with a total of 9.2%. The next macro process in IT framework of supply chain management is SRM, the supplier relationship management. SRM includes processes focus on the interaction between the enterprise and suppliers in the upstream of supply chain. That is, the enterprise or manufacturer will contact the suppliers for getting the products or components or finished goods or any kind of service from the particular supplier. So there is a natural fit between SRM process and ISCM process as integrating supplier constraints is crucial when creating internal plans because the internal plans is relies on the processes takes place between the enterprise and the supplier, because if it is a production plan then we may have to, or the company have to get the components or finished goods or any service from the suppliers in time, then only the production plan will go in. as per the decision taken by the company. Like that, any internal plan, maybe a marketing plan or a pricing strategy, is relies on the supplier activities also. So the major SRM processes are as follows. The first one is design collaboration. The software aims to improve the design of products through collaboration between manufacturers and suppliers. We already discussed the importance of design collaboration. The only thing is the software should provide facilities for both manufacturers and suppliers to collaborate in the design of products. The software facilitates the joint selection, that is, manufacturers and suppliers, of components that have positive supply chain characteristics, such as ease of manufacturability or commonality across several end products. Manufacturers and suppliers, with the help of software facilities, they collaboratively design a product in such a way that it is easy to manufacture, and also a particular subpart or unit may be used in several end products, so that it results in cost effective supply of products, and also profitability also can be improved. Other design collaboration activities include the sharing of engineering change orders between a manufacturer and its suppliers. So design and engineering can be mutually exchanged between the manufacturers and the suppliers. This eliminates costly delays that occur when several suppliers are designing components for the manufacturer's product concurrently. So this will reduce the delays in production, particularly when the several suppliers are designing components for the manufacturer product at the same time. The software for design collaboration should provide facilities for better collaboration in terms of designing a product. The next process in SRM is source. Sourcing software helps in the qualification of suppliers and also in supplier selection, contract management, and supplier evaluation. An important objective is to analyze the amount an enterprise spends with each supplier, often revealing valuable trends or areas for improvement. So, the software in this stage helps the firm to qualify the suppliers in terms of selecting the supplier based on various factors and providing record data and justifying the selection of supplier, and contract management, and evaluating the suppliers after selecting them. And also the software will provide the analysis of the amount that an enterprise spends with each suppliers and how we can improve the supply with a lesser cost. Suppliers are evaluated on various criteria, including the lead time. So lead time means the time taken to deliver the product after placing the order, reliability, quality, and price. So this evaluation helps improve supplier performance and also in supplier selection. Then another area is contract management. It is also important part of sourcing because many supplier contracts have complex details that must be tracked, such as volume related price reductions, etc. Successful software in this area helps analyze supplier performance and manage contracts. So the software for sourcing will provide various tools to select the suppliers and evaluate the suppliers continuously, so that to have the improvement in the supply chain management process. And also it provides facilities for managing the contracts. The next process in SRM is negotiate. Negotiations with suppliers involve many steps, starting with a request for quote, RFQ. So negotiation starts with getting a quote for the particular task. The negotiation process may also include the design and execution of actions. So the goal of this process is to negotiate an effective contract that specifies price and delivery parameters for a supplier in a way that best matches the enterprise needs. So the aim of the negotiation is to establish a contract with the particular supplier to supply the products at a particular specified price with the delivery parameters as expected by the enterprise. So the software in this step automates the RFQ process, that is request for quote process, and the execution of actions. The next process in SRM is buy. Buy software executes the actual procurement of material from suppliers. So the software in this stage is to execute the procurement of material from the suppliers. This includes creation, management, and approval of purchase orders. So whenever a firm or enterprise needs raw material or components or finished goods or any kind of service from suppliers, the firm has to create a purchase order, and after approval from the management, then only the order will be released to the supplier. Successful software in this area automates the procurement process and helps decrease processing cost and time. So the software in this stage automates the complete procurement process, that is initiation of purchase order and the flow of purchase order internally till it is approved by the management. Then the order should be released to the particular supplier. So all these things are done with the software so that the cost and time is reduced. The final step in the macro process SRM, that is supplier relationship management, is supply collaboration. Once an agreement for supply is established between the enterprise and a supplier, supply chain performance can be improved by establishing collaboration on forecast, production plans, and inventory levels. The goal of collaboration is to ensure a common plan across the supply chain. Then only the total profitability or supply chain surplus of both manufacturers and suppliers will improve over the period of time. Good software in this area should be able to facilitate collaborative forecasting and planning in a supply chain. So the collaboration between manufacturer and supplier is very much essential in forecasting the demand or production plans and inventory levels, which is provided by the software in this process. This diagram illustrates the three macro processes in IT framework of supply chain management and the sub processes involved in each macro process. In the macro process CRM, the processes involved are market, sell, call center, and order management. In case of ISCM, strategic planning, demand planning, supply planning, fulfillment, and field service. And third one, SRM, supplier relationship management. In this, the processes are design collaboration, source, negotiate, buy, and supply collaboration. All these three macro processes are rest on the TMF, that is Transaction Management Foundation. So based on this only, the three macro processes will operate on the data provided by TMF. So the performance of the three macro processor completely rely on the TMF. Students, answer these questions.